everyone, and welcome to Creator Outlet, the series where every month a creator and I will receive the exact same prompt. We then take the next month to create our short stories and compare them here for you. And you all get to decide who wrote the better piece. This month's prompt was, Your fantasy is in a floating city. The story involves witchcraft, a whispering willow, and a book of wisdom. Something precious is lost. So please help me welcome this month's guest, the amazing, fantastic Baking Cake. Well, hello, princess. Hold on,
My mom's actually visiting, so she's like, "Oh, I'll watch the baby."
That's so sweet. That's so sweet.
Well, yeah, she just didn't take a lot of twisting her arm at all.
Oh, I'm sure. She's like, dang. Guess I
She's like,
gotta.
"Ah, well, guess I'll take one for the team and watch the baby."
All
I
right.
mean,
So, first question. What did you think about this prompt whenever we got it?
I thought it was very fun. I was a little worried at first because I feel like there were a lot of components,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, huh, how am I going to take all of those little pieces and make them cohesive? And then at one point, I was just like, you know what? Some of those can be at the forefront, some of them can just be mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it did help a little bit when I did that because at first I was like, okay, if I need to include all of those things,
It's kind of a lot.
we're looking at 20 pages
I know,
of
literally
things.
mine.
And I managed to keep it at 5, so I was like, okay. Okay, but yeah, some of the elements were more so like a brief mention, and then some of them were like not explicitly
Mm-hmm.
uh explicitly mentioned, but throughout the story you can be like, oh, that was the thing. For example, like the something precious is lost. Like you can kind of at the end of the story you can be like, okay, well that could be either this thing or this thing or this thing that
Mine
happened.
is the same way, right? You get to decide as a reader what the precious thing lost is because there's more than one thing
There
lost
you
throughout the
go.
story. Yeah.
And again, it's just the challenge of uh, writing it because I was mostly writing it when I was rocking my little daughter Eloise to sleep, and so I was writing it then, and then I would write a part, and then I would write another part, and then I was like, okay, but does it work together? And I would go back,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my problem with writing, is I oftentimes I'll just write an idea and write something else, and then I'm like, okay, let me just circle back, and then I start reading the other thing, and I add some things there, and I'm like, but I should maybe make the story progress a little bit more before I go back and edit. And so I do a lot of going back and forth. But
Yeah, as I
I
was
think it worked.
as I was typing up mine cuz I wrote it physically first. As I was typing it up, I'm like, I need more here, and I would fluff it more as I was writing it out, or I would change
Just
things.
a little arrow. It's like
Yeah, literally, I wish I could show you my book. It looks crazy. Like I'm like, I didn't end it here. I've got to do that. Like full English teacher on that thing. Um,
and I love that.
yeah, I loved this prompt. It was definitely a lot easier to get into than like I did last month, which was about like an older
Yeah,
woman. It was so hard. I was so hard for me to get
I
in that
know
mental
both of you
space.
were like, I'm not Asian, so it's kind of hard
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
myself. You were funny because I think you said, although people call you old online, you're like, I'm not that old.
Yeah. I'm like, guys, I'm peak adulthood. Like I'm 27. This is the best
On the
time.
outside,
Yeah. My frontal lobe just fully developed. I'm good.
give a girl a chance.
Yeah, please,
I just
please.
got here.
How did you go about planning or like brainstorming for this piece?
So I just kind of started writing out stuff. I just putting things on paper, um, because I feel like if I just kind of keep it in my head and try and plan it out too much, then I get stuck. So I just kind of started writing, and then I kind of let the story take me wherever it wanted to take me, without fully thinking it out first. And then afterwards, once I kind of had my general ideas down, then I was like, okay, well, how do we resolve this? And how do we get from point A to point B? Because now I have all those big ideas, but I need to kind of piece the between. And so that's kind of how I went about it. Just kind of write a big rough draft first, and then, like I said, just kind of go back. Oh, I need to fluff this a little bit, and then keep reading, and oh, maybe I could add a little bit of that, a little bit of here.
Yeah, I was. what I did something very different this time because last time I was like, oh, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. This time, first of all, fantasy names so hard to come up with, in my opinion, and so that was the first
That's
thing I
why
did.
I kept it simple. I was
Literally,
like, let's just have one character with one name. The city has a name, and then there's nobody else involved.
yeah, that's smart. I
Because the names are
hard, yeah. Um, so I actually named the characters and then I wrote small descriptions about them so that I could pepper
oh,
them throughout the story rather than trying to explain them all at once. Because I personally don't like whenever a character is introduced and that's all you get to know about them is as they're introduced and then you barely get to know them throughout the story. I like to
right.
develop them along
Oh,
with the story. And so I did that for each of the characters. Obviously, the main character has the most. I named the lands, and then I wrote like a broad overview of like the direction I wanted this story to go in. And then I just wrote the damn story, and then I changed everything as I was
oh.
rewriting it. But
I
that's
wrote
okay.
everything, and then I changed everything.
Yeah, exactly, as you should. Did you have any other ideas or endings that you didn't end up using?
Um, I don't think I did, just because again, that kind of I kind of generally knew where I wanted the ending to be, but there was also not a bit like I knew I wanted it to end relatively well.
Hmm.
And so I kind of kept the story fairly streamlined and I didn't want to change the ending too much. That was kind of I kind of had my starting point and my ending point and I kind of stuck to it. Then again, cuz if you had told me, "Hey, let's reconvene in a few months." This story would probably look nothing like this.
Yeah.
Cuz I just kept adding stuff and then I switched things up a little bit like in the middle, but the ending was fairly the same from start to finish. So, with the time that I had, this is where I went. But again, if you had given me another week, it might have gone somewhere else, and another two, maybe somewhere else again.
Yeah. I will say to a lot of people, a month seems like a long time, but you are a mother. You know, you have things to do, you have a business. Like, you are so talented,
Yes,
so incredible.
thank
And for
you.
you to have done this, first of all, I'm so honored that you were like, yes, I want to do this because I love you. So I was like,
Well,
wow.
you said writing, and you said do something with you, and I said my two favorite
Oh
things.
my God, my other half, my other pitbull half, my
I
other
half
bald
thought to
half.
put the ball cap on for this.
I would have joined you, I'm
It's
not gonna lie.
it's like it's literally right here.
Mine's
I
in my drawer. That's so funny.
Also, I don't know. I did something just a little. I don't know. Somehow it got some blue got on it. I don't know how, but I might have to get another one. Oh, and there's yellow here. Go figure. Anyways, I might have to get another ball cap.
I didn't have any other endings. Well, I did. I find that I typically my writing style is a lot more towards tragedy. I tend to like more realistic or like upsetting endings than like happy-go-lucky endings.
might.
But I did not do that this time. I chose to not do
Oh,
that this time. At least in my opinion, I didn't. Um, and for me, my idea that I didn't do is, of course, I've read plenty of like Fae style novels. Lovely, love them so much.
what?
But my brain, unfortunately for everyone else, stuck in D&D mode, so we went like D&D style fantasy um with this one. I'm pretty proud of this one. I think obviously if I had way more time, things would be different. But it's a
Same
lot
here.
of information. It really is. The amount of things that we have to work into this so
I was.
hard.
That's exactly what I was saying. It's like it's overall like all those elements work together well, but with well, like you said, a month feels like a long time, but when you have other things to do, it's like I gotta work all of that in, and you need to kind of work it together, and it was a bit of a challenge, but yeah, no, for me, definitely not having time to sit down and just be like, okay, let me just do that and nothing else. I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like for sure some things might have been better had the circumstances been a little bit different, but I think overall it's pretty all right.
Yeah, the main thing I noticed whenever I went back, do you find that you use certain words too often? Suddenly, I had to cut that word out 45 times. I said I was at work on my break
Suddenly,
typing it up, and I was like,
something seemed. I was like,
Yeah. Also,
all
writing in first person also awful. The amount of times I say I had to change the way that I write so that I could stop saying I. It was
see,
a lot.
I wrote mine in third person,
That's so exciting.
and I was like, but it's kind of same problem. I feel like I'm always like she, and I'm like,
She. Yeah.
and at one point it's like I don't have a million synonyms for that or other words I could
Yes.
use. So I was just like, well, it'll have to do.
I told my coworkers, I said, "How bad is it that I have the Oxford Dictionary on my phone and I pay for it monthly? Like, because I need that thesaurus. I need it biblically. Like, I abuse
And
the
I mean, if a
thesaurus.
tool is there, why not use it?
Yes,
I
I
love that
that
you pay for it. You're so extra for that. I love it.
yeah. Well, you know me. um, yeah, I'm very excited about this. I can't wait to hear yours. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I can do that. Also, I will preface this by saying some words I probably have only ever read them. So if I mispronounce them,
Melancholy, melancholy.
so, so if I mispronounce some things, you can stop me and say, "Hey, actually, ma'am,
Melancholy? No, none of that.
no, oh, see that one, that one, I know that's not how it's pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know where the accent on the word is.
It's
I don't.
okay. I used to think Yosemite was Yosemite or
Okay,
Yosmite.
but like that one, honestly, like that one, why is it pronounced like that?
Nova Scotia? What's that? What do you mean?
As like as a first as someone whose first language is French, why is it Yosemite?
I'm like, I
I
don't.
look at that, I'm like Yosemite or something.
Yeah.
And I just realized now in the moment I did not give this a title.
I did not
So
give mine a title either, so that is no
okay,
worry.
lovely. For I don't feel as bad. I was like, oh,
No.
I was gonna start. It's like let's get right into it. All right. And if I stutter again, remember my first language is French. Thank you very much. All right. It is unknown why the city of Adengrath was taken by the attack a few weeks prior. Some called it a curse. Some initially called for the rapture. But when the entire city was uprooted from the earth in a deafening rumbling of the very soil it laid upon, everyone knew dark times were amiss. When the newly formed Sky Island settled a few thousand feet in the air, it didn't take long for panic to settle in. With no contact with the rest of the world, resources quickly dwindled. Water, food, medicine, even heat became. Okay, this might be where you first stopped me. Is it scarce or scarce?
Scarce. It's scarce.
Scarce. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We became scarce as they quickly ran out of things to burn to keep warm in the frigid high altitudes of the frigid high altitudes the Athengraythians found themselves in. Plumbing and electricity were unceremoniously ripped apart and disconnected in the grand ascent, which inevitably plunged the city in a most insalubrious state. If hunger or hypothermia didn't do the trick, sickness was bound to make every last individual meet their maker. Zinnia was the youngest daughter of a long line of witches, which have always lived in Attengrath. They have cared and watched over it for centuries, their magic and knowledge passed down from generation to generation in old books and tales. When the Grand Ascent happened, it felt like a personal blow to the family, and the responsibility to rectify this mess weighed heavy on their shoulders. Everything they had cherished and nurtured was now completely thrown off balance. Perhaps a rival witch family trying to gain power or notoriety. They had no way of knowing. In an echo chamber of speculation, one cannot ascertain the truth, only reinforce rancor. Pointing fingers would change nothing, only actions would. Zinnia and her mother frantically looked through grimoires and scrolls for weeks trying to find a solution to this isolated apocalyptic scenario. Page after page, they came up empty handed. Panic and a sense of doom began clouding their search as hope dwindled to the sound of flipping paper. Because what are you supposed to do when something that's never happened happens? Who do you turn to when you're supposed to be the one with the answers? They had shut the last of their ancient books, their fingers now chalky with dust and eyes rimmed with red from the lack of sleep. Defeated, Zinnia went to lay in bed in her too quiet and too dark house, a chilling vision of what awaited all of Adengrath in a few more days once all would have perished. The lack of electrical buzzing made the silence so heavy and loud. It was unnerving. Zinnia's eyes burned from the lack of sleep, and she was once again mentally going over everything she had been taught about magic and witchcraft, hoping she might have overlooked the key to their salvation. Book of potions, botany, wisdom, curse, rituals, legends, magic, and myths, all completely and utterly useless. If she didn't still tend to that last kernel of hope burning deep within her, they might have become the next kindling to keep their house warm. The night was windy, especially up so high in the sky, and it rattled the walls. A violent hissing sound from from unsuspecting cracks in the window frame kept dragging Zinnia out of her thoughts, disrupting her concentration. She was frowning deeply and taking deep breaths to try and calm her frayed nerves. Frustration got the best of her, and she stood up abruptly, fisting a blanket to hopefully smother the aggravating noise. Her hands were barely an inch from the window, the scowl on her face still pronounced, but still she stilled. It was almost imperceptible, but something made her stop mid movement. A murmur or a whisper, a humming almost. She closed her eyes and focused. She listened, she felt. Echoes of the past swarmed her memory, a story she had been told years ago when she was just a kid, about a whispering willow watching over her people, but its location long forgotten. It was said that they had lost the ability to hear its wisdom, but Zaya now started to wonder if it simply got swallowed by the constant buzzing of modern life. Or maybe she was simply losing it. What could a tree possibly do to save them now? Could the willow help? She trained her ears to listen more intently. The sound, although distant, seemed to call some primal instinct of hers. It seemed to tell her, "Come, come to me." And she turned around to look at her bed. She almost expected to see herself laying there because she was surely dreaming. Her bed was empty, the sheets crumpled on one side, and the low whisper, a steady buzz at the back of her mind. For a sound she's never heard before, it sure as hell was hard to shake off now. Now that she had heard it, it was impossible to ignore. Come, come to me. She put her warmest clothes on, and she was gone. Her reasoning was simple. Whether she was going crazy or not, they were out of options, and steadily running out of time before Adengrath became Atlantis's sky counterpart. Whether she was hearing voices, the threat to her city was very real, and they had exhausted every other possible solution. A reckless pilgrimage to a tree that possibly did not exist sounded like a pretty great way to go out, she thought. She could either die a coward or try chasing the only hope they had. Poking her head out of her room, she saw her mother had fallen asleep at the kitchen table with a grimoire still open in front of her. She had half a thought to wake her up and ask her to come with her, but decided not to. If this plan turned out to be a complete failure, at least her mom would be spared. Well, granted, she found a real solution to Edengrath's airborne situation in the meantime, otherwise, no one would be alive in a fortnight's time. And so Zinnia set off alone in the middle of the night towards what she crossed her fingers would be the mythical tree, and hopefully its miraculous abilities. The whispers were, well, whispers, faint. But if she closed her eyes and tuned out the wind, she could hear them clear enough, feel their pull. Maybe she was losing her mind. Maybe the minimal food rations and the lack of sleep had finally taken their toll on her sanity. But that voice carried by the wind told her that she was on the right path. It seemed to be pulling her very soul, like a moth to a flame, her mind to the willow. Night turned to day, and to night again, and the cycle repeated itself a few more times. She kept walking, pushing through exhaustion, hunger, and dehydration. She foraged enough along the way to keep her going, some berries, herbs, and mushrooms her grandmother had taught her were edible. She only stopped to sleep and never woke up feeling rested. Only her anxiety and the pit in her stomach seemed to be rejuvenated by her slumber. Through plains and woods and creeks, she carried on with only reassurance the melodic whispers getting louder and louder, the invisible magnetism becoming stronger with every step. After nearly 2 full days of walking, she found herself at the base of Ethengrath's small but rocky mountains. The environment here felt hostile, the scenery completely barren, rocky, and quite desolate. Zinnia thought this looked like the last place you would expect a tree to grow. As a matter of fact, she knew from all her time listening to her family's teachings and reading about all things arboric culture that it could be impossible for most things to grow in such a place. Any semblance of hope she had left was violently ripped from her heart then. She let herself fall on a nearby rock, head heavy in her hands. She had gone completely mad, and she let her imagination take her on a wild goose chase out to the middle of nowhere. And for what? To die alone in some foreign mountain? To give her mother one last fright before they both kicked the bucket? Her mom. That thought made her pause, her racing angry thoughts. She didn't even know if she was still alive. Hell, she'd been gone a few days. Who knows what could have happened to her in all that time? Zinnia had been blinded by her desperation. It did not occur to her that until this very it didn't occur to her until this very moment that she might have caused her mother to worry herself sick. She could have at least left a note. Instead, she selfishly vanished in the middle of the night for visibly nothing. Tears started pooling in her eyes, and she was mad at herself, mad at the unfairness of the situation affecting Adengrath, mad at this stupid whispering willow that was apparently a fantastic combination of voices in her head and nonsense from old dusty books full of crap. She should have been home to spend her last moments with her mother. There was no saving her city, now suspended midair. Hopefully, the afterlife would grant her one final witchy favor to curse the bloodline of whoever was responsible for all of this. Zinnia's tears were falling steadily on the dusty ground before her, and frankly, probably some snot too. Sniffling, she wiped her soaked hands on her pants, and she stilled. Something wasn't adding up. She had been crying for a few minutes now, and yet the ground was completely devoid of tears, bone dry. As she stared and stared at the ground, another tear fell, and she gasped in surprise and sprang to her feet as she saw it immediately travel up the mountain. Nearly tripping over her own feet, she raced after it. Her legs ached and her mouth felt like cotton, but somehow she found the strength to run uphill on the rocky terrain. Her heart was racing, her forehead beating with sweat, and still she chased. Her eyes glued to the ground, she would not dare take her eyes off the water droplet, lest she loses it. It wasn't until she crashed into a hard mass with a loud oomph that she started to notice the luscious grass dancing in the wind around her. Tiny wildflowers speckling the green with their millions of shades of pink and purple and reds and yellows. In complete awe, her eyes traveled slowly up the magnificent tree towering over her exhausted body. A willow so tall and sturdy, not even a tornado could have made it bow to its power. The willow was at the very heart of this oasis. It radiated a sort of peacefulness that immediately overtook the little witch. Soft whispers wrapped around her very mind in a warm and kind embrace. They seemed to scour her thoughts for the one question she dared not ask, and answered it just as easily. She knew what she had to do, had suspected it all along, subconsciously perhaps, because she was not afraid. She managed to drag her body to a nearby pile of rocks and picked out the sharpest one. Guided by the whispering breeze around her, she knelt in front of the tree and cut a sigil she had never seen before in her palm. She mirrored it on the trunk, chipping away at the bark before placing her bleeding hand over it. An overwhelming warmth washed over her and swung her head back. Gathering the last bit of her strength and pouring it into the willow, she willed all of Adengrath down to the awaiting earth below. Her blood, her soul, her mind, just like her tears had, now rushed to the willow tree. Two magical beings becoming one. One final selfless task to protect Adengrath like her ancestor had sworn to do centuries ago. A scream escaped her lips, something guttural and ancient. Her vision was no longer hers, and she could no longer see the way she used to. Instead, she could feel the tree's enormous roots that sprawled and spread all below Adengrath. As if offering her one final grace for her sacrifice, the roots guided her to her mother, letting her know she was still alive, although worried sick for her missing daughter. Zinnia felt weak. The last drop of her conscience finally surrendered to the willow. Her final exhale escaped her mouth with a smile, a sense of relief that maybe, just maybe, she had done what needed to be done. Maybe, after weeks of panic and torment and sheer survival, Adengrathians would know peace again. Her body felt heavy all of a sudden, slowly sliding down the rough side of the tree. Someone walking by would have thought her asleep, but no one ever did, and she never woke. Beneath all of Adengrath, imbued by Zinnia's life and magic, the roots started growing at an incredible speed. They speared through the sky, down into the dirt thousands of feet below, and then slowly began to pull the floating city towards the earth, anchoring it to the awaiting crater the great ascent had left behind weeks ago. Who would have thought? all would be at last right again. Zinnia passed not knowing if her sacrifice had saved her people. But if there is such a thing as an afterlife, Zinnia would see that every year, when where her body laid to rest beneath the willow tree, flowers bloomed by the hundreds on the anniversary of Annengrath's returning to its earthly home. She would hear the kids whispering tales of a brave heroine who faced doom as if it were an old friend, and offered her life as though she was fulfilling a pact that had been made years ago, almost forgotten. It is said that the whispering of the willow can still be heard carried by the breeze, and those who care to listen now claim there is another voice harmonizing with the trees.
Woo! Yeah. First of all, incredible. So
Thank
very
you.
different from what, like, I stunned. I'm gonna need that on my desk tomorrow. I need to read that over and over and over and over again. Yeah.
And this is what I love about this because I know, and even from last month's the one you did, how you can start with the same prompt and same element and just go completely different places.
Yes. Our first of all, our writing style is very different. Yours so elegant. I could read what you write every day, and I can't
Stop.
wait to. Like I
This is
knew
now a good
yours
time to
would.
say I was really freaking nervous.
No, I understand. I hate reading in front of people, so this is hard, and I understand that's hard for other people as well. But you
Are you
sounded
not
beautiful.
embarrassed?
You sounded beautiful, and your piece was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, the idea of the voices in the Whispering Willow being the people that came before her that have done this, and have saved these people and been forgotten, and them just carrying on the wind, like that is so so cool. Ugh. And the Book of Knowledge, I did catch that. Yeah, the Book of Magic
When I said
Knowledge.
it mentioned it,
Barely. Hey,
hey,
wish I had done that, honestly.
we looked into it,
Yeah,
didn't do shit.
yeah. Like, you talking about the books full of, like, shit, essentially, that killed me.
Yeah.
That was so good. And I got chills at the end whenever everything started coming to, and the part where you talked about the flowers blooming for her and the willow, like, oh, girl, incredible.
Thank
I was
you.
like,
You're too sweet.
yes. No, I really mean that. I love literature, and I love seeing people kind of just, like, bloom in their space. And you really, no pun intended, but you really did do that. You Girl,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
I'm so glad I got to do fantasy and I got to do it with you especially. So,
Yeah.
does that mean it's my turn now? I'm
I'm
also
all ears.
I'm so scared.
Don't be scared.
There is unfortunately quite a bit of dialogue in mine, so I'm going to try and
See, dialogue I struggle to write so bad. So hats off to you.
yeah,
That's impressive to me.
sometimes dialogue can seem clunky and, you'll read it out loud and you're like, I don't talk like that. No one talks like that. And
That's what I'm saying.
putting it in a fantasy sense makes it even harder because you're like, I wouldn't talk like that, but also who's to say they wouldn't? So,
Exactly.
all right. If you're ready.
I'm all ears.
Golden light spills through the window, casting the room aglow. I roll over in my bed and toss my blanket off of me, suddenly far too warm. Sitting up, rubbing the dreariness from my eyes, I try to focus my gaze on something, scanning my surroundings. Across from me in the room, there lies a bed, untouched. The pristine sheets and floral blankets stood at odds with my bedding, dark, old, and used. On a shelf close by sits a terracotta pot, the withholdings dried and frail. A large wooden desk was covered in books and parchment long forgotten. A layer of dust clung to the room like a blanket. One would believe at first glance this place was abandoned. The only sign of life remaining, my heart slowly and surely thudding in my chest. I rise to my feet, stretching my neck from side to side as I head straight for the wooden door, and as I pull it open, I feel a rush of warm air push past me. In the hearth roars a fire, but despite the heat and light emitted, this room is not one of joy and love like it once was. I remember the mornings where I would stumble from my room and find my mother already cooking breakfast with a smile on her face. Those days vanished a while ago, and my mother hasn't smiled in months. No one can really blame her. Her precious daughter fell ill almost a year ago. She sits by her bedside day in and day out praying to anything that will listen. If it wasn't for me, I'm sure she would have wasted away by now. I make my way across our living area to the only other bedroom in the house. The brittle wood flooring creaks under the weight of me. Sliding my head through the cracked doorway, my eyes settle upon my mother, on her knees, her gnarled hands clutching to my sister's. Her skin was pale and worn by the weather of time. "Mom?" I whisper. Stepping further into the room, I search to see if she is awake. As I do, her head turns to me slowly. Her brown hair streaked with silver frames, her eyes brimming with sorrow. Those eyes were once something I was jealous of, now a dull and lifeless brown. Mom, you should get some rest. She's not going to get worse if you go to sleep. I slip my arm under hers, helping her stand. Oh, and Raleigh, I'm fine. I'll have plenty of time to rest once the gods decide it's my time. She pulls her arm from mine as her eyes wander back to my sister. Her complexion is a little muted, but still a warmth resides in it. Her hair cascading down the pillow, a beautiful decadent brown. And though her lids remain closed, I know inside are a set of irises to match. Even near death, Lilith was more graceful than I dare dream to be. My mother's voice cut through my thoughts. Does she look worse to you? You're being paranoid. She looks the same to me. I was lying through my teeth. She did look worse than when she first fell ill. Not by a lot, but enough to notice. The healers claimed that they could find nothing wrong, but I have once heard of something even more knowledgeable than healers. Somewhere deep in the woods lie a whispering willow, one that could guide people to their heart's greatest desires. During training, my partner, Gareth, mentioned how he stumbled upon it as a young child. He asked relatively trivial questions, all gaining an answer with more information than a child of that age could understand. He also told me how one feels it before they ever see it. If there was anyone or anything that could save my sister, the Willow of Hopes and Dreams would know of it. I wasn't sure how much time my sister had left like this. I'm headed out. I've got some training with Gareth to attend to. I might be longer than usual, so I'll have Bridget drop some food off for you all. Please try and eat it. I give my mother a thin-lipped smile. Hey, Lilith is going to be okay. My mom said nothing. Eyes still glued to the bed. After a moment, she finally nods her head, dismissing me. As I leave the room, I look back over my shoulder and whisper a soft goodbye that falls upon deaf ears. Back in my shared room, I switch into my black leather armor, strapping my real sword around my waist. I was never planning on going to spar with Gareth, and if my mother had cared enough to learn my schedule, she would have known that. I pull my black hair into a loose braid and check my reflection quickly in a small mirror on the desk. My eyes are a dark abyss with a small fire raging in the middle. My pointed ears sticking through my gathered hair as I smooth it out. My skin looks as bright and fierce as magma under the wash of golden light. Flashing my teeth to make sure they're clean enough, I shove my tongue against my elongated canines. The teeth were definitely the coolest part about being a tiefling. I haven't really decided on the tail part, if I'm being honest. Tieflings aren't entirely uncommon where I live, but I am the first in my family. A bloody red streak on the family tree. My mother and sister are utterly human, and by that, much more respectable to the average individual. Double-checking I have everything on me, I make my way towards the town, making sure to stop by the marketplace and buy myself some provisions. Once I have that settled, I hand a small pouch full of gold to the shopkeep. Can you make sure my family's fed for the next few days? I've got something important to attend to. Anything for you, my dear. Bridget gives me a wink before turning towards the man perusing her shop. I study the other stalls to make sure there is nothing else that is needed. Deciding that I'm probably fine, I make my way towards the Great Bridge. The closer I get, the quieter it gets. Aside from the rushing wind and occasional bird songs, there is silence accompanied by peace. One could almost forget their worries out here in the green fields of Apatha. Almost. A wooden bridge sways gently in the breeze, connecting two islands peppered across the cerulean sky. White puffy clouds drift beneath the bridge lazily. I kick a rock off the ledge and watch it fall until it is indistinguishable from the rest of the sky. One might be scared passing along this bridge. The fall would be endless. However, I know that there is magic here to keep you safe. I could not see it, but I could feel that familiar humming in my bones. As I crossed the threshold of the bridge, the wind cut out. I knew it was still present, since the bridge was still moving, but it did not push me aside or vibrate against my eardrums. The bridge was long and serene, giving me time to work out what I would say to the willow once I wandered upon it. As soon as my feet touch the soft grass of the neighboring island, the wind rushes back, startling me. I scan the luscious tree line for a break in uniformity, trying to find a path to the willow. Once I spot it, I push my way through, listening for anything out of the ordinary. Searching for what feels like ages, I feel a thrumming in my soul. At first it feels unsettling, but the closer I got, the more numb I began to feel. Then I hear it, whispering carried on the wind like a feather. Somehow, I knew exactly where it was coming from. A small glimmer of pink peeks through the shroud of trees, a cacophony of voices, each unique, pour from the cracks. Pushing through the branches, I'm quickly struck with awe. The tree is larger than one could even perceive, so lively with pinks, blues, and purples as it twinkles in my vision. And Raleigh. The voice was light and strong, feminine, yet masculine. It was definitely not of this world. I knew you would come for me. How do you know my name? I stepped towards the bowl, turning as the limbs seemed to close behind me. Everything instantaneously felt private and safe in this confined, sparkling space. I know many things. I knew you were coming years before you were born. What is it you seek? My sister, Lilith, she's sick. The healers can't seem to find a cure. I feel a lump appear in my throat, and despite my attempts to dislodge it, it persists. Is there anything or anyone that can save her? Or is she just doomed to waste away in front of her family? There is silence hanging in the air, and all I can hear is the blood rushing in my ears. There is one way to save your sister. However, it is far too dangerous for even a headstrong tiefling such as yourself. I grit my teeth and stare through my brows at the willow. But if you believe you are up for the test, I will tell you what I can and nothing more. I can't sit back and watch my family wither away like this. It's torture. I straighten my spine and place my hand on the hilt of my sword. The tree seems to hum in response, obviously pleased with my answer, but still unsure. Please, I say, my voice breaking. The branches begin to sway behind me once more, as I hold my breath, waiting for an answer. I was so close to a possible decision, and even a future with my family. Deep in a dark land beyond this forest lies an evil, wretched woman, one with mysterious and ancient powers. She was once known to this land as the most powerful hag to have ever been, but now she is weak, for she is missing a relic that gave her much power, the Book of All-Knowing. Chantal Knox is who you seek, for she is the only one that could break the curse that ails your sister. Find the tome and return it to her. Then she shall make you a deal. I'm sorry, a deal? And curse? I thought she was just sick. Words were spewing from my mouth as everything bounced around in my brain. I know not for certain what occurred, but the hag might be able to inform you. There was a brief pause, the only noise, my breathing. There's one last thing. You must not open the Book of All-Knowing under any circumstances, for the hag will know, and she does not take kindly to those who steal from her. Shouldn't bringing her the book be enough? You mentioned making a deal. I cocked my head to the side, bewildered by this whole encounter. One might believe so, but hags are greedy, and you should know this. The wind rushes through the draping branches as they part behind me. This is all I have to give you, child. Venture north and find a great cave painted with blood-red flowers. Deep within, you will find the tome. At times, your mind will tell you to turn around. Do not listen, push past it. Once you have retrieved it, head further north to an islet devoid of color and life. There you shall find the one you seek. Now, be on your way, young traveler. I wish you luck. The color of the tree dims until it becomes an unassuming willow buried amongst the oaks and pines of this colossal forest. Everything floods back to me, making me realize this would take much longer than I had allotted. Well, there's no time to ponder details, so I set off. The journey through the forest is absolutely vibrant, but once I push through the final tree line, I almost stumble off the edge. For in front of me is a large bridge attached to the side of this crackled rock floating in the sky, and across the bridge, the most beautiful field, full of bright and lovely flowers, a stunning array of colors splattered across a canvas of green. Wow. This is the most incredible view I have ever laid my eyes upon. Even through my thick boots, I can feel the cushion of the grass beneath my feet. The silkiness of the nearest flower is something I have never truly experienced. But as lovely as this is, where's the mountain? Scanning the horizon, my eyes fall upon a sea of crimson, stark against the azure sky. Holy shit, how did I miss that? I release the flower I was messing with as I stand. Maybe I can finish this in 3 days. The mountain was much farther than it seemed. The closer I got, the more fear starts to settle in my bones. Just how far into this cave is that damn book? There better not be a ton of paths. There's no time to get lost here. Standing in front of the mouth of the cave, I send a whistle down it. The noise returns to me after a mere 10 seconds. Might not be that bad after all. I make sure I still have everything I brought, and then head farther into the cavern. Didn't take long for my vision to adjust. Although it was dark, there seemed to be lights illuminating the walls. There was no telling how long they've been burning, but it was no surprise that they will burn for centuries more. Deep in the cave, I hear a voice that stops me in my tracks. I listen for a while before moving forward, met once again by the same mumbling. What is it saying? Again, I start moving, hearing the voice shortly after, this time my body reacting first. Although I can't make out what it is saying, deep down, my soul knows. Bumps bloom across my fiery skin, my hair standing on end. Suddenly, my stomach bottoms out and I feel the overwhelming need to run, and yet the voice whispers to me. The pebbles crunch beneath my boots as I retreat a step, a familiar voice ringing in my head. Do not listen, push past it. This voice reverberating off the cavern walls must belong to the book. Mustering up what bravery I have left, I set my shoulders straight and head deeper. The vocalizations are so loud, but even this close, I can't make out what it's saying. But upon entering the chamber, realization hits me. The book was speaking in a language I did not know, and it feels ancient, as if it calls to something beyond me. The brown tome shines a bright purple from a stone set in its center, the colors dancing along the stone walls. As my finger grazes the cover of the book, I snatch it back in pain. In the subtle light, I can see my blood absorb into the leather, not a stain left behind. What the hell? I stare at the cut on my finger and shove it in my mouth as colors of orange and yellow set the room ablaze. In Raleigh, I force a gulp down. Why do you seek me? Do you yearn to be mortal like your family? What answers do you seek? You could do that? My voice bouncing off the walls makes me grasp that this book was not speaking out loud. Somewhere within my skull resounded the heavy, commanding voice once again. I know everything that was and will be. There is not a thing I do not know. I am aware of your darkest desires, your deepest fears. I know that you resent your family for their humanity. You feel like a miserable leper, and at times you wish that it had been you instead of Lilith, so that maybe your mother would care. However, you and I both know that that's not what would happen. That's enough. I don't need a book to tell me how I feel. The sneer painted across my face slowly disappears. I reach out and snatch the book from its resting place. As I do, there is a searing pain from my hands to my very core. The scream rips from my throat as I muster my strength to pull it away cleanly. My chest heaving, I shove the book into my satchel. The way back was faster, as if the path had changed after the encounter with the Book of All-Knowing. As I approached the entrance, my eyes struggled to adjust to the light. One quest finished, however, I have a feeling this is the easiest part. As I make my way across the meadow, the sun begins to sink in the sky. I begin to feel a familiar tugging in my mind. Such a shame you are, strong and brave, but not to be trusted. You carry your weight and then more, but what for? Love where there is none to spare? Shut up. I try to bar the wicked voice from my mind, gritting my teeth. I trudge along, attempting to find the next bridge. Living amongst the clouds was lovely most days. The breeze is cool and constant, the sky a clear cerulean. However, traveling was troublesome. There's a large bridge connecting each crackled rock, and for longer voyages a sky ferry, a monstrous mass of oak that uses the path of wind to pilot it. With the moon hanging high in the night sky, I discover the bridge, and with that the next islet. A beautiful and vigorous land with a large river cleaving it in half. I find a small cove of trees and lay out my bedroll and prepare a small fire next to it. Chewing on the hard cheese I bought at the market earlier that day, I gaze longingly at the starry sky. This really wasn't so bad, being far away from home. There is peace in solitude, and I find it more with each passing day. You don't have to return. They're better off without you anyway. You're a nag, an annoyance. At first, I believed these words to be my own. I'm sure I've said this exact thing many times to myself while training or lying awake at night. This damn book is about to piss me off. I kick the satchel away from me and lay my head down. I force my eyes shut in hopes that its voice cannot find me in sleep. Rolling over with a rough groan, the light seeps through my eyelids. I stare at the beams twinkling between the leaves. The rest was not the best I ever had, but I'm not normally one to complain. I sit up and reach for my bag, attempting to pack everything from the night before. Good morning in Raleigh. The book hums as I grab the sack. Grunting in response, I sling it across my back and traverse the small grove. Unsure of how far away the hag would reside, I did not want to waste any time. There was rough terrain around the river of this realm, but otherwise the bridge was an easy one to find. As the next land came into vision, my heart dropped. Utterly vibrant. I did not think I would ever be upset by the visage of green fields, yet here I am. Shit. Silly girl, this is no fairy tale. You are nothing more than a simple tiefling, an infernal mistake. I flinched at the book's words as they scattered through my skull. It might be right, but this isn't just about me. I can help you be who you desire to be. All you have to do is look inside. I rip the book from my bag, ready to toss it in the dirt as a glimmer makes me halt. A beautiful girl stares at me from the opal that resides in the worn leather. Her skin is slightly tanned, with black ringlets tossed over her shoulders. Her staggering sapphire eyes rounded and blinking in tandem with mine. A soft gasp parts our lips as I notice the lack of fangs. Open me, and you could have this and so much more, dear and Raleigh. My fingers travel towards the patina-covered clasp, eyes transfixed on the girl. I fumble with the book, my mind truly escaping me. The breaking of a branch behind me returns my senses to me. What am I thinking? I plunge the tome back into my bag and book it across the bridge, not interested in facing whatever lays behind me. Even once my foot breaches land, I continue running. The less time spent with this glorified notepad, the better. My legs carry me through realm after realm, only stopping in the dead of night to rest. All the while it wiggles inside my mind, taunting me. After days of traveling, my senses frayed, I stumble upon a mass of land riddled with clumps of dead grass and wilting flowers. A small chuckle escapes my parched lips as I search the horizon for what would surely be Chantal Knox's abode. In the far east rests an imposing ramshackle hut, the wooden boards curling in every direction. A green mold painted across each plank despite the absence of moisture gives off a wretched stench that travels along the wind. The roof of this shack was in utter disarray, caving in on itself. Squaring my shoulders, I set off in the direction of the hut. I was so close to greatness, unsure of quite how long this journey had really been, losing count after day 5. My only reprieve is knowing the journey back will be easier without a second voice in my head keeping me awake. The door in front of me is large, round, and warped with time. The iron handle is stark against the sun-bleached wood. Warmth seeps from the door as it hangs ajar. The stench of mildew and rot is far worse than I was expecting this close. With a gentle rap at the door, it swings open fully, inviting me inside. Hello? I squint, trying to make out the interior. Everything inside, aside from a few animal skulls, is crafted of wood, all crumbling with the passage of time. Come in. A gravelly and weak voice answers my call. As she steps into the light, her visage strikes fear into my heart. Her nose long and pointed to match her nails. Her skin wrinkled and wrung tight around her bones, as if it was melting away. Tufted gray hair squirms across her face, framing once blue eyes turned milky white. Chantal Knox? I believe I have something you're searching for. I reach for my bag, scrambling through the contents, my hands shaking. I search for many things. What is it you bring me, child? The flooring creaks beneath her gnarled feet as she approaches me. As I pull the book out, the cruel smile caressing her face drops. I didn't open it or anything. I'll give this to you, but I need something in return. Her eyes meet mine, giving me the distinct feeling that she can, in fact, still see. Oh dear, for that book I would give you anything. Immortality, strength, wealth, even another chance at life. What is it you seek? Hand it over, and I will grant you your greatest desire with a small price. Her cracked lips slide back over her jagged teeth as she holds her hand out to me, palm towards the sky. A price? I went through hell to bring you this book. Is that not enough? I pull the relic against my chest, feeling uneasy, uncomfortably aware of how far away I am from the door. You poor, naive creature. This is how magic works. To receive something of value, you must offer up something yourself. To become the beautiful woman my book showed you, you must cast away your family, never to return. But freedom is worth more than anything. I scanned her face for signs of deception, and upon finding none, my spine became rigid. My sister, Lilith? She's ill. The Willow of Hopes and Dreams said that you could break the curse, even possibly tell me who did it. The hag is silent for a moment. I can do this, yes. But in turn, you must give half of your life for her. Half my life? Tieflings live to be about 100. That'll give me about 30 years to make the most of it. I probably wouldn't do that much with my life after that anyway. I swallow my fear of death in the face of a beast who would eat me in a heartbeat. No, wretch. Your life, as fated by the gods, will be cleaved in half. If they so deigned you to live until 25, you will drop dead at my feet. I cannot tell you how long you will have left. She cracks her gnarled knuckles before pressing her hand closer to me, beckoning for the book. What will it be in Raleigh? Humanity and longevity? Or family and transience? Her laugh sounds wrong as it wiggles between her rotted teeth. I can feel the tears welling in my eyes, but I blink them away. Was it truly worth throwing away half my life for a family that hardly cares? If I became human, life would be easier. I would finally be beautiful. I wouldn't have to fight every day just to prove my worth. This decision was solely mine to make, and I had every right to be selfish. I placed the book into her leathery palm, pursing my lips. Please, save her. Pinks and purples swirl around the hag, and her eyes become clear once again. A grin twists its way across her face. You fool. It was I who cursed your sister. I knew you would be the one to return the Book of All-Knowing to me, so I decided to speed things along. A guttural laugh rips through the air as the book speaks in its ancient tongues. My knees buckle beneath me, and I fall to the ground coughing. No matter how much I tried, my lungs would not inflate. My vision blurs as I stare up at Chantal Knox one last time as she begins to look younger and younger until I eventually collapse. The trill birdsong rips me from my sleep as I sit up straight. My surroundings are familiar and warm. The bed across from mine is pristine and unused. I dash into the living room to find my mother there tending to the fire, not even bothering to notice that I'm home. I make my way to the other bedroom across from me. As I slam the door open, I see my sister still in bed. My chest falls rapidly as I study her, falling to my knees as I notice no change. I wrap my rough hands around hers, tiny and frail. I hang my head in utter defeat, warmth sliding down my cheeks. Her hand moves within mine, just a small twitch. Holding my breath, I study her face again. After what feels like days, her brows furrow and her eyes slide open. Beautiful brown irises meet the fire within mine. "In Raleigh?" Her voice was so brittle. I scooped her into a hug so tender and raw, for this could be the last time I held her like this. My hourglass is draining fast, and I must make the most of it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh my god, that was so immersive. Oh,
Yeah.
I would need like a 3-part series.
Absolutely not. I was writing this, I'm like, please. I do think that the way that you managed this was so much better, because I was like, having all 3 of these elements, or really it's like 4 elements, is so hard to do without having the most elaborate, because I was following her journey as it went, and I was like, hey, so this is gonna take days. Like, it does not make sense for this to go from one island to the next and be like, we're done. And so I was like, I had to like start cutting stuff and being like, okay, she just know that she traveled, you know, like that's it.
No, I was fully immersed. I was in there and I was like,
Yes, I'm glad. Oh my gosh.
It did not feel rushed whatsoever. I was following along. That damn hag.
Yeah, so there were.
I'm bringing you your book.
Yeah, like, what do you
Nice.
mean? What do you mean I gotta do something else? What do you mean I gotta give up half my life?
I'm like, you'll go get your own book, silly goose.
Yeah. But,
Also, in Raleigh, sick ass name.
in Raleigh is a really great name, very tiefling ass name.
Mm-hmm.
I
love it.
I ended up using that in my D&D campaign because we got asked, like,
As you
oh, they said, what is your name? Like, a fae creature asked me what my name is, and you don't give your name to the fae, ever. And so I just instantly said in Raleigh, which is not my character's name. And then a different one of the people in my party gave them my name, so.
I love that.
Yeah, they were like, my name's Oriana. And I was just like, what the fuck, dog? Like, what the hell? But I had so much fun doing this. I will say,
it was such a fun one.
I said that I was like, oh, I didn't have any different endings, but I had different ways I wanted to end this story because it was really hard. Of course, the like really sad part would be either her choosing herself over her family, which I still feel like would be deserved given how her family, like her mom, not even reacting to her coming home, by the way. Like, she's like, don't care.
She's just like,
don't care. Where's Lilith?
Don't care.
Yeah.
Also, thank you for giving. No, thank you for asking the merchant to care for them. Just taking it for granted, being like, yeah, whatever. She's home, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. Yeah. But I had it obviously where she picks herself, or where she does make this deal and she does drop dead.
That was
like,
dumb.
Yeah. And then I also thought about ending it right as her sister says in Raleigh, right? But I do like that my hourglass is draining fast. I must make the most of it. I do like that line.
I was like, how much time does she have left?
Yeah, she could have a day, a year, 5 years. Who knows?
Oh, that would be anxiety inducing.
And the sad thing is, like obviously I didn't say this in the story, but given what we know about them, whenever she does pass, they won't
Are they gonna
know
care?
why. They won't know why she passed so early, and they won't care. Maybe her sister will, but no one else will.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I need the whole 3 part series because I want to know. I want to know what was going on with the sister. I want to know why the heck did that.
Yeah,
I
hey,
want to
what's
know.
wrong with you?
Yeah. Hey, what's wrong with you? And why did you do all of that? I want to know all the little intricacies. I want to know. I want to get to know that world because that sounded sick as hell. I don't want to go there. So yeah, get to work.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm interested to hear what other people thought of our stories. I think they're so very different and
Pray
so
tell.
very cool. Incredible pieces on their own, incredible pieces together. Just so,
I
so,
agree. I
so
agree.
cool.
I agree.
I
Yeah,
love,
people, let us know in the comments.
yeah,
Comment down below.
yeah. Go ahead and comment down below. No, I think this is. I mean, we've done two so far, by the way, but I'm like, this is my favorite. Every month, I'm
It's
like,
such
this
a
is my
fun.
favorite.
I just think it's such a fun idea you had, and I'm feeling very lucky and grateful that you allowed me to be a part of it. And I cannot wait to watch the other episodes. You two should watch the other episodes if you haven't yet. And yeah, no, that was super fun, and it was a nice little challenge to
Yes,
kind of step out of my comfort zone, have like a theme given to you, and to have to follow it. Very fun.
yes. I think it's. I don't think this one. I mean, this one was hard to do because, in my opinion, fantasy is so hard to make into a short story
It is.
because
Well, it's like you said. It's like 5 pages. That's world building.
world building 80 pages and still world building, sorry. Like especially something that is so far removed from earth, right? Like if you're
Right.
going witching and wizarding like in Harry Potter or whatever, like
Yeah,
obviously
there's
you
a
can base it off
lot.
of this planet, which gives you an easier basis to build things off of, right? It's the same for, I'm gonna be a nerd for a second, same for like anime or TV shows. Whenever they make the basis like somewhere in, you know the earth, it's a lot easier because they don't have to spend that time
Right.
world building versus creating your whole own universe. So hard to do.
You have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
There's no known references. You
Yeah.
have to just make everything and be so explicit about every single detail. No,
Yeah.
I hear you. With fantasy, you're like, okay, yeah, no, 5 pages. I need to write 5 pages. You're like, this whole time I was drawing a map
Yeah. You're like,
and I was writing down a book of all the magic rules.
yeah. Oh, but I this was so so fun. Thank you so much for joining me
It
on
really was.
this.
And thank you.
Thank you so much.